Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
All right, welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by Potawatomi Casino, the sports book. Hey, my name is Tim Allen. This isn't Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. That's Charlie, though. Hello, Charlie.
How's it going, Tim? It's fun being here with you.
Yeah, okay. Well, we have a lot to get to today. And first of all, I need to address something. If you don't know the name Tim Allen, I'll introduce myself around the state of Wisconsin. I've been talking Brewers baseball on the postgame show for about 2.6 million years. And you can catch me here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network after each and every Brewers game with Tommy Wirtz. You guys are familiar with Tommy, maybe not so much familiar with me, but looking forward to talking Brewers baseball. And this just in, speaking of Brewers baseball, we do a hot stove weekly off-season baseball show that's coming your way on Wednesday night. And we're going to have the two latest Brewers on the air with us. Jet Williams will join us. Brandon Sproat will join us as well. So the Freddie Peralta deal pays some dividends, and we get to introduce you guys to the latest Brewers. Also, Charlie, let me just say this. This whole camera thing on video, I'm not a big fan.
What do you mean? You look great. You know, your setup looks great.
Okay, it's a mess. I didn't think I'd be on camera today. I didn't have a time to get a backdrop.
We're sports guys, you know, like I feel like it makes it seem more natural when you got the whole collection behind you. You look at all the other like big shows on there. They look messy, but it's all the cool stuff that like describes those people. I think it's a good look.
So I know how to tell people through this microphone right here. You know how to hear the shows. Download the Odyssey app. You can head to your local Wisconsin Sports Radio Network station, including in Milwaukee, 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan. And then I don't know how the terminology goes with this whole video stuff. And you can watch us on
YouTube, on X, both those places at WI Sports Radio. You're live streaming us, baby. It's okay. And again, we look good. We got the cameras going. You know, you might get some love mail from it, Tim. You never know.
Now I can act cool. I say
Exactly.
You can live stream. You can watch us live streaming. Ooh.
Exactly.
Wisconsin Sports Daily, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer's radio program, served up by Wendy's. And today on the show, we're going to get to my news and notes. And those of you familiar with my work, I do always oftentimes start out a show with news and notes. We'll have everything from football to hockey to you name it. NASCAR, there's some news on that as well. But you know, Brewers baseball is kind of my thing. We'll get into some Brewers, but I also love the NFL. And Charlie, we're going to have your sounds of the day later on this next hour. Things Sparky missed. We'll have the green and gold update. So a ton to get to today. But we will start out with we now have a Super Bowl.
We do.
I just want to do this first of all. And you can call it what you want. You can call it old man not wanting to change with the times if you choose. But I'm finding it rather interesting that head coaches in the NFL, they choose not to like points at times. I don't know about you guys, but I think it takes points to win football games. And again, you can call me antiquated or whatever, but I will say this, that when you have a chance for points, now the biggest example would be Dan Campbell a couple of years ago. You recall the NFC title game. And he's looking at, I think it might have been, it wasn't the shortest field goal at all, but it was maybe 46-yard field goal to go up 3 scores with about 8 minutes left in the game.
Mhm.
To me, with what I've seen of the NFL in 60 years, that means you're going to the Super Bowl.
Usually.
When you're 3 scores up
Well,
and you have 7.5 minutes to go in the game, usually means you're going to the Super Bowl. Now, this wasn't yesterday's game. It wasn't that bad, but when Sean Payton and his Denver Broncos were up 7-zip in the red zone with a 4th down, you're hosting this. New England had nothing going offensively. I don't care if it was 4th and 14 or 4th and 14 inches. Go up 2 scores, will you, Sean? And here's the rub on this, Charlie, is that the announcers play right into this too. And I'm not knocking announcers; they're awesome. There's some incredible NFL announcers out there, and I'm a big fan of the Westwood One lineup for sure. And Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady are turning into one hell of a tandem, although they didn't do that game. But what they say is, well, the analytics say you go for it. Right. And I'm supposed to be okay with that. I'm supposed to be all right with that without giving any baseline of evidence here. Did the analytics say go for it? Oh, gee, I guess I should go for it. I'm not a big fan. If you're going to tell me the analytics say go for it, then I want to know why. What? I want to know what that analytic is. Because to me, the biggest and best analytic is scoring points. Right. I want points in the game. I think you had it in the Rams-Seahawks game. There was a tie game with a 4th down. And you had somebody going for it. So, but again, the analytics, I'm not okay with that. Or after the game, you have some of the head coaches and even players saying, we were just being aggressive there.
Right.
We were just going to be aggressive there. I'm supposed to be okay with that. I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely not changing with the times when it comes to 4th down versus points versus the risk reward thing. Charlie, I don't know where you lie on this.
I'm definitely personally a little bit more aggressive when it comes to that type of stuff. I do like when teams and the trajectory the coaches have gone in the NFL lately a lot more aggressive. I think it catches defenses on their toes a lot more. I think you're starting to see defenses with a lot slimmer options for what to call in play situations during that time. And then in that game specifically yesterday, I think you saw it later in that game too, when Sean Payton did choose to take the 3 points, or at least attempt to take the 3 points, because of the type of weather that was there in Denver. Yeah. It just was not a feasible option eventually. I know earlier in the game, it wasn't nearly as bad as it ended up being. But by the end of that game, and even early on, you could tell that that was going to impact what happened on the field. And I think that plays into this situation a lot more too. I know back 20 years ago, 15 years ago even, a lot of teams still would have taken the 3 points or attempted to go for the 3 points. But I also think you saw a lot more prolific kickers during that time period too. And you're not seeing that as much nowadays.
Oh, do you? Well, I guess you see bigger legs these days. Yep. But you don't see as much accuracy these days all across the board. Yeah, but that's a different topic, because I have noticed in the last 2 years, where did these legs come from?
Right.
Oh my goodness, everyone's just popping 54.
I think you see in the younger age groups, at least, a lot of the kids that are getting recruited to college are getting recruited off of distance and not always accuracy. It really is starting with that leg power. I also think at the NFL level, though, you're seeing a lot of kickers get injured more too at the same rate. I think they're putting so much more into that, and then the accuracy fails a little bit. Yeah. So when you have these situations where in the past you normally would go for it on 4th down when you're on your opponent's 40 with 5-6 yards to go, those situations have changed nowadays to say that's less likely to lead to a touchdown later on in that drive than it would be if you went for it on 4th within the 10 yards instead of taking the points there. Now it's easier to kick those field goals for a lot of these guys there, but I think it also changes their accuracy within the 30-yard mark.
Yeah, you get a good kicker, you need to hold on to those kickers. We've seen that in Green Bay here now for a while. So we now have a Super Bowl, Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. Everybody thinking that is something to stand up and cheer about. I was in a couple of fantasy football drafts. There's some crazy leagues I'm in down in Kenosha.
Mhm.
And we've been doing these touchdown-only leagues forever, the first of which I've been in since 1988. And you redraft each and every week as the rounds go through. And I had to draft amongst these teams the last couple of weeks. I got to say, there's a little change in the game here for the NFL.
It seems like it.
It was just, Charlie, it was weird because there was no super studs. There was a few. I mean, let's face it. Matt Stafford is amazing, and even Kyron Williams, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I mean, there's a few of them, but there were no Lamar Jacksons and Josh Allen's and Patrick Mahomes and Saquon Barkley's and Derrick Henry's to make those drafts easier. It might have been one of the ugliest drafts I've ever been in. No knock on these players because they're NFL guys. They're going to the Super Bowl and they're talented. I understand it. But anybody doing cartwheels over the Super Bowl, I'm not sure that a lot of people are.
I don't think so, but at the same time, the way I've been getting myself excited about it, at least, and what I've been telling people, it's 11 years later now from the last time these two teams matched up, and I think it's kind of cool that we're seeing this repeat matchup that laid on with brand new rosters, brand new coaching staffs, almost brand new front offices for both of these teams, and that they were still both able to find success 10 years after what we considered for the Patriots one of the greatest dynasties of all time during that time. And then the Seahawks have some of the most legendary players of that era during that time. And they've been able to transition it into finding success with, like you're saying, not really any true stars yet. A lot of guys that had breakout seasons. You mentioned Jackson Smith and Jigba. Drake May had a great breakout season this year as well, but it's not the household names like we were so used to seeing. I think it's really cool that we're seeing, again, those two franchises kind of reset and start lending towards that old past that they had.
AFC, NFC title games yesterday. I found myself, I don't know about you guys, but we're all in sports by the fact that you're listening to our voices right now. But I get caught up into the AFC, NFC title games. I really do. I like to watch the post-game coverage. I thought it was really good. And I don't have skin in the game when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks. Big deal. The closest I get to Seattle is the Brewers came from Seattle.
All right, there you go.
That's about the connection I can make. But I got caught up, especially the Seattle one, because it was at home. Man, who was it that had the microphone presenting the Hallis Trophy? Was that Cam Chancellor?
I think so. Let me go double check for you.
Can you check on that? Because that dude was incredible. That coverage was awesome. And so I got caught up into it last night. I'm just like, going to 2 Super Bowls in my fantasy league. That certainly helps. But I caught myself just kind of, and it was earlier in the night. By the way, I do like those 5:30 kicks on a Sunday night.
Could get to sleep, relax for the rest of the night, not be stressing about anything.
Yeah. So you and I had a conversation earlier in the game before things, got real steamed up. But I got caught up into it. So it is still the Super Bowl, and there's still something to be said about the Shield and all of what it brings to all of us. Been in a holding pattern of about 12 years, headed to Vegas for the Super Bowl each and every year. And it's just the hype and everything around it. It's kind of cool.
It was Cam Chancellor also.
It was Cam Chancellor. Okay. He was outstanding.
Fantastic.
What does he do? Where does he does he do national stuff?
Not really.
If not, he should.
I think he has a podcast, but other than that, I don't think he does any national stuff at the moment.
Dude was awesome. I'm like, who is that guy? I've kind of thought it was him. Who that guy? He was just going. All right. In other news and notes, tough news for the Milwaukee Bucks. Are we done getting tough news from the Milwaukee Bucks?
Never. It wouldn't be a Milwaukee Bucks season without getting tough news from the Bucks at some point.
Giannis, a calf, 4-6. What are we doing here? It's seemingly What's their record? Just so we have it straight here.
So the Milwaukee Bucks right now
Because it's just seemingly we in our line of work do a lot of reading.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just seemingly I'm reading so much negativity about the Milwaukee Bucks, and not just their mark, but their play. And is Giannis going to be traded? And man,
yeah, the Bucks are 18-26 right now, currently one spot out of the play-in game, so they're 11th place in the East right now.
It's just this is tough news after tough news after tough news, and I don't know what this does for Milwaukee Bucks ticket sales. But it is always fun headed to a Milwaukee Bucks game.
Well,
grab a couple of beers and some food, and off you go.
Well, we were looking at the tickets on Friday with Sparky here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. The cheapest ones you could find were $11.
See, again, Milwaukee, we are so spoiled. State of Wisconsin, we are so spoiled in ticket prices. We really are. These. In fact, I got a news and note here. It says the Badgers football program lowering their season ticket rate.
That's pretty cool. I'd go to a few Badgers games for that.
The Brewers have what, $8 ticket nights, $9, sometimes even less than that.
The student nights, all these different other appreciation nights that you can get discount tickets on. Yeah, it's awesome.
So let's not forget that it is kind of cool, having major professional sports in our state, and a lot of you listening in Milwaukee, right here in the city. It's really cool. So not good for Giannis. Back to football. Phillip Rivers, is this going to happen, or is this just something? I'm not sure. Phillip Rivers interviewed for the Buffalo Bills head coaching job. I don't know much about Phillip Rivers outside of his play.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was kind of cool. He came back and played a few games this year. I like those stories, but I'm not sure how viable of a head coaching candidate he is.
I mean, in my mind, I thought it was pretty unserious of an interview. It kind of seemed like I found a new appreciation for the upcoming Matt LaFleur extension that we still haven't found the details out about. If Phillip Rivers is being considered as a viable offensive head coaching option, that means that it was pretty bare bones outside of that when it comes to the offensive coaches. Matt LaFleur is still one of the best in the game, and that proves it just how dry the market is.
Mike McCarthy goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That, to me, was the no-brainer out of all these head coaching moves. I do believe that. He was destined to be in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, the Steelers organization, just based on what McCarthy has done throughout his career and his love affair with Pittsburgh, I don't want to say they owed it to him, but I think eventually the fans are going to like it. And then eventually they're going to hate it.
Probably. It feels like that's how it happened in Green Bay. It feels like that's how it went in Dallas as well. He feels like the closest candidate to a Mike Tomlin type of person. Where
and what he'll do, Charlie, is he'll stable. I think what they need is oftentimes Dallas needed it. And now Pittsburgh may need it. With a big change like that, I think stabilizing the organization, there's something to be said about that.
100%. Yeah.
A guy who knows what to do on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday. I think that will stabilize them, but then you got to look at the production or lack thereof, and we'll see. And obviously the big news, and we'll get to this at 4:00, Jonathan Gannon, the new DC for the Green Bay Packers. On the surface, I really like the move. Now, as a head coach, not super successful. But I look at recent history as 2021 and 22 as a defensive coordinator, did well in Philadelphia. Definitely. So we'll get to more on that in a bit. But that was the big news, whether you like it or not. But, hey, going back to yesterday, Sean Payton attempted to bring two different teams to the Super Bowl. Now, I had to test myself on this, too. Obviously, he failed. But was interesting, there's been 7 other coaches to bring 2 teams to the big dance. Can you name me any, Charlie? I'm sure you can.
Off the top of my head, Andy Reid did it.
Yes.
I know that for sure.
Yeah.
See, Harbaugh hasn't done it yet. He may do it eventually, Jim. Pete Carroll never did it. No.
Now that would be cool if the Har Bowl happened again, Har Bowl 2.
That'd
but
be pretty
only
sick.
but only this time they're in different conferences.
Well, and it would be, I guess it was kind of opposite ends of the country last time too, but this time it would be 100% opposite ends of the country, like as far apart from each other as possible.
That's true. All right, so head coaches that have brought two teams to the Super Bowl: Andy Reid, Eagles and Chiefs. This one surprised me. This one I wouldn't have gotten. John Fox.
Oh yeah, he did. He brought the Panthers and the Broncos. Yeah,
that's right. Mike Holmgren got that one. Packers and Seahawks. Dick Vermeil, Eagles, then took a long break. I remember that. It was upwards more than 10 years a break from coaching, and then took the Rams to the Super Bowl. Let's see here. Dan Reeves, Broncos, and then the Falcons, and then Bill Parcells, Giants and the Patriots, and finally Don Shula, Baltimore Colts, and the Miami Dolphins.
That's a pretty prolific group to be a part of.
Well, and it shows you a head coach can make the difference.
100%.
It does. And much like I look at it as a franchise quarterback is essentially a must to get to the Super Bowl. There are some examples of not. A head coach. You need to have a good head coach to successfully advance to the Super Bowl in the NFL. And you can bring Brad Johnson up as a quarterback, or even some people are still doubting Sam Darnold now. But yeah, okay. So we'll take a break. We have to take a break.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll take a break, and then we'll get to more news and notes. There's some couple of things in NASCAR. Those of you that are into NASCAR, which I am, and have been for about 25 years. We'll have some news on that coming up in just a bit. As we move along, it is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tim Allen, Charlie in for Sparky today. Yeah, welcome back, Wisconsin Sports Daily. Here, it's Tim Allen, Charlie Houston in for Sparky today. Hopefully that's okay. Sparky is back tomorrow. Charlie, with working with Sparky, I've known him a long time, since the early to mid 90s.
Wow.
Does he still go crazy on the air a little bit?
It's Sparky. I don't think there's ever a world where he's not going crazy. And it's not just on air. I think that dude just goes crazy. There's a reason he's called Sparky, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. When the Admirals score 4, it's a Frosty 4 at Wendy's. Stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate Frosty Classic. No purchase necessary, only good for 24 hours. After the Admirals score 4, act fast and get that free small Frosty Classic at Wendy's. All right, on with our news and notes. We'll get to Charlie's Sounds coming up in just a little bit. We talked a little bit about the Super Bowl. We had some coaches stuff in there. Those of you in the NASCAR, however, Hall of Fame inductees this year: Kurt Busch, Harry Gant, Ray Hendrick. Big names in NASCAR world. Also, NASCAR is changing their playoff format a little bit. I haven't done a deep dive, but February 15th is going to get here pretty quick, and that is when Daytona is. So I'm going to have to do a little studying on that. But no longer, from what I understand, no longer just winning one of the 36 seasonal races is going to put you in the chase. So those of you following along, NASCAR, you got the news there. The Outlaw, Kurt Busch, into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and the Bandit, Harry Gant, if you're following along with nicknames. We've got some quarterback information here for you guys. And we were talking about, I made the mention of a franchise quarterback that is pretty vital to getting you to and winning a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Examples, I mean, you can cite me examples, but very few. Look at the quarterbacks just on Super Bowl winning teams. It's just a star-studded cast.
Mm-hmm.
Does Sam Darnold fall into that? Does Drake May fall into that? We'll have to see on Drake May. Looks good for as young as he is.
I mean,
Wow.
This is 2 straight years for Sam Darnold, too. I feel like you can't count him out yet. This is another year on a new team and a new system without an offensive mastermind like Kevin O'Connell, like he had in Minnesota, where he went out there and was a top 10 quarterback in the NFL for the entire season.
He was.
Got to give him some flowers, too.
I will, but still, I mean, look at the list of, Brady's and Rodgers and Favre's and you name it, and Aikman's, and then all of a sudden it's Sam Darnold. I'm not ready to buy in quite yet. I don't know why, because people have been saying Sam Darnold is going to turn into Sam Darnold at some point.
Right.
And it just hasn't happened in the last couple of years.
Well, and when he did kind of turn into the Sam Darnold, quote unquote, that people are talking about earlier in this season, they were able to still, as a team, stay competitive. When he had the 4 interceptions against the Rams earlier in the year, they were still in that game for a majority of the run. Yeah, they ended up losing that one, but you saw it result in a win this time around when it was another close game. You see this team is resilient and the right team around him. I don't know, it feels more Jim McMahon than I guess a lot of these other players that we're talking about, which I think once you win a Super Bowl, your name still gets written in history. You still get remembered for history. Yes, you're not a legend the same way, but if Sam Darnold can win a Super Bowl, I think he gets into that same kind of category.
So from the did you know category, Carson Wentz, he got to start this year.
Yep, in Minnesota.
He did. Did you know he started for his 6th team in his last 6 years?
I did not know that.
So, I think Carson Wentz is a pretty decent quarterback. I do. He's been derailed a few times. Well, the reasons of which injury, and then, just guys have bumped him out a little bit. Were you going to go back to Carson Wentz when Nick Foles was doing his thing in Philly? No.
I mean, they tried for a little bit. He just wasn't the same player after tearing the ACL.
He wasn't. So can you name the teams that Carson Wentz started a game for in the last 6 years?
All right. So he started for the Colts. I know that for a while. He started for Washington for a while.
Okay, that's 2.
He played a game or 2 in Kansas City, Minnesota, and there's 2 more now. I don't know the last 2 off the top of my head.
Well, one was the easy one, the Eagles.
Yeah, okay. I guess I just counted them out a little bit. And then the last one.
Okay, so Eagles, Colts, Commanders, Rams.
That was the last one I was missing. Yeah.
Chiefs and Vikings. I just thought that was kind of
I thought the
cool.
Chiefs would be the hard one. I was like, oh, I nailed that one. I remember him being there. I thought that was going to be the hard one, not the Rams.
Jared Stidham yesterday was the prime example of what? When your team is poised to be in the upper third or upper fourth of the NFL, you're taking a big risk if you don't back it up, if you don't insure your franchise quarterback. You're taking a big risk.
Right.
Look what happened. I'm not going to blame yesterday's loss all on Stidham, but let's face it, a better quarterback in there, we may have seen a different outcome.
Potentially, but I also think Jared Stidham, for what the game ended up being, we talked about this with the kickers earlier too, I think he played well enough. And I think the fact that he's been able to stick around the NFL for as long as he has and continue to get backup quarterback jobs, he just hasn't got the on-field opportunities that a lot of these other guys have been able to get over the past few years. I think he's better than a lot of people gave him credit for, and I think he showed it in this game. I don't think he lost the game for the Broncos. They were also going up against a great New England Patriots defense that was fantastic all year too.
Green Bay Packers, you make it to the NFC title game. Jordan Love goes down the week before. Do you feel good with Stidham?
No.
I mean, that's what you have to ask yourself. So we've been spoiled with this Favre, Rodgers, Love thing, haven't we?
We have.
In Wisconsin here. So let me give you an example. The New York Giants. So Eli Manning won a couple of Super Bowls for the Giants. Franchise quarterback, I think everybody would agree with.
Right.
So since then, Danny Jones, Tommy DeVito, Colt McCoy, Mike Glennon, Jake Fromm, Davis Webb, Drew Lock, Tyrod Taylor, Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart. Maybe they did find theirs with Jackson Dart.
Potentially.
But look at that list. Okay. You know, again, it's tough to find your main guy, your franchise guy. But once you do, and the team gels around him, and you are an upper echelon team, you are making a big mistake if you don't flank that with a quarterback that is at least good enough to give you a puncher's chance to win that Super Bowl. Now, really, to bring it home here, Malik Willis. You think he's good enough?
I think he showed that.
I agree with you. I agree with you, and that's why they should sign him.
I don't know if I agree with you on that, though. I think when you look at what Malik Willis is potentially going to make this offseason, there's a lot of teams that are going to be willing to give him starter caliber money. And when the Packers have so much money tied up in Jordan Love already, I don't think it's financially responsible to pay that much to a backup quarterback, even though, yes, Jordan Love has proven that he can't stay in an entire season at this point. When you have so much money tied up on the other side of the ball in a Micah Parsons and a Xavier McKinney, and you have to be more fiscally responsible as a team, it's hard to say that you give that money to him. It's
risky. That's all I'm saying. It's risky. Can it be done? Look what Nick Foles did. He was the Super Bowl MVP when your guy went down. So another example, this is the fun one. This is the good one here. Over the years, the Chicago Bears. Listen to these guys. Just listen to the names. It'll make you laugh and just shake your head and be glad you're not a Bears fan.
I am a Bears fan, by the way, Tim.
Oh, my goodness. So I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
Over the years, in any order, I just threw them all together. Mitch Trubisky, Jay Cutler, Jim Harbaugh, Eric Kramer, Rex Grossman. Oh, it gets better.
Cade McNown, who they wasted a first round pick on.
Steve Walsh, Kyle Orton, Mike Tomczak, Jim Miller, Justin Fields, Jim McMahon, obviously, Nick Foles, David Craig, Josh McCown, Steve Stenstrom, Cordell Stewart, Matt Barkley, Brian Greasy, Andy Dalton, Chad Hutchinson, Brian Hoyer, Mike Glennon, Caleb Haney, Chase Daniel, Jonathan Quinn, Peter Tom Willis, Jimmy Clausen, Steve Fuller, Henry Burris, Jason Campbell, Doug Flutie, Todd Collins, Rick Meyer, Moses Moreno, Trevor Simeon, Nathan Peterman. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, that's rough. It's not a fun list to listen to.
I had to laugh. I mean, when I was looking at this list, and I recall having some of these guys on my fantasy football teams. Now, to be fair, a couple of these guys had a nice little run. Jim Miller had a nice season. Eric Kramer had a decent run, but none to the point where you would say, well, Cade McNown and Steve Walsh is going to bring us to the promised land. This is important not only to get your main guy, but it's also important to get that backup guy, as we saw yesterday. And again, I'm not blaming Stidham on everything, but I do think with a little bit more of a veteran savvy sort of guy in there, I think the Broncos may have scored probably a few extra points in that first half.
I think the other thing we saw, though, and especially when the Colts signed Phillip Rivers, who we were talking about earlier at the end of the season, was that there just weren't that many players that, like you're describing, that were veteran savvy out and available to be a backup quarterback at this point.
Sure.
Andy Dalton was already on a team in Carolina. He's one of those players. Kirk Cousins is in Atlanta. That's one of those players. All those guys that are those veteran savvy type of players were locked up by other teams ready to go. When you have such limited options, like having to re-sign a Jared Stidham this offseason like the Denver Broncos did, that's a lot better than maybe taking an unknown with some of these other like young quarterbacks that are in the draft.
Yeah, you mentioned Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
That's the dude right there. That's a prime example of what I'm talking about. Now, is he good enough to win a Super Bowl? Yeah, I mean, you could argue that. But he certainly is good enough to ensure you that you won't lose much momentum down the stretch or into the postseason.
Right.
But that's a perfect example. But you're right, Charlie, in the fact that it's the money thing.
Well, and exactly. Atlanta isn't paying their starting quarterback a lot of money in Michael Penix because he's still on that rookie contract. So it's a lot easier to keep that huge contract that is Kirk Cousins in the backup position because you're not spending that money anywhere else yet.
Look at the young quarterback crop in the NFL. It's looking pretty impressive. I mentioned Jackson Dart, but Bo Nix, Drake May,
Caleb Williams, since we were crapping all over the Bears before.
Absolutely, Caleb Williams. And I hate to admit it. But that dude looks legit to me. I don't like saying it, but he does. Mm-hmm. I pound 3 or 4 more years into his resume.
With Ben Johnson, it should be, again, a really good partnership.
That's going to suck.
Packers fans should be a little scared, a little bit scared.
CJ Stroud, despite a little bit of a bumpy road, I still think he's pretty decent talent.
Playoffs every year.
You've got the group of quarterbacks that are young right now in the NFL. It's pretty impressive wave, if you will. All right, Charlie's sounds of the day coming up after the break here, including sound from a new brewer. And a reminder that Wednesday night, Hot Stove Weekly, Tommy Wirtz and myself will be talking Brewers baseball. We will have live on the show Jet Williams, acquired in that Peralta deal, and Brandon Sproat, acquired in that deal as well. So we'll have 2 of the newest Brewers on Hot Stove Weekly Wednesday night here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Wisconsin Sports Daily, that is served up by Wendy's. There's Charlie, Tim Allen here. You guys can check in with us on the Nicolay Law Talking text line at 414-677-1250. We'll be right back. Going to get to some more news and notes here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. We are served up by Wendy's. In for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer today, Tim Allen and Charlie Hewson. And we had mentioned a little bit of some Brewer stuff prior to the break there, Charlie. And still the Freddie Peralta trade, I think, resonates with Brewers fans, including myself. I'm no different, and I love the team and all that. I was talking to Trevor and Josh this morning about it and on how, you have to have time to process it and digest it, and then you come out with, your opinion on it. You try and keep a level head, and then you're like, no, I don't want to keep a level head. They traded away one of the best pitchers in the league. Right. But then you look at the track record, and I told those guys, I'll tell you guys the same thing. That I think at the end of the day, after, several days post Freddie trade, I'm just simply going to have to trust the organization. I'm going to have to trust them. The examples would be Josh Hader. They traded him, won the division the following year. Corbin Burns, they traded him, won the division the following year. Devin Williams, traded him, won the division the following year. Now it's Freddie Peralta. Seems to be the way of life with the Milwaukee Brewers organization. That doesn't mean you have to like it just because that's the path that they take. Some of these trades will not work out. That much we do know. All trades don't work out.
Mm-hmm. They're not all Christian Yelich, yeah.
It's really not. And so we have to hang in there and trust them. However, at the same time, it doesn't question your loyalty as a Brewers fan just because you don't like a trade.
Right.
And you may be right at the end of the day. That's the thing. Those of you watching on camera or TV or whatever you call it, hi. You don't have to like it. No one mandates that you have to like it solely because you're a Brewers fan. You want it to work out. Of course, we all do. And maybe Brandon Sproat will be the next Quinn Priester. He'll be the Quinn Priester at 26, where, wow, look what Chris Hook did again.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jet Williams comes into play, and he vies for an Isaac Collins type role, and then he gets a couple of Rookie of the Year votes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know this, so I will trust in that. On the surface, though, I have a tough time trading away a guy that we could trade away in July if things go south. And occasionally you're going to have a bum year. And if that were to happen this year, would you have gotten more? We could debate that at the deadline. Would you have gotten more for Freddie Peralta? Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe, but also we've talked about this before on Wisconsin. This is something Sparky brings up all the time, is you don't want to have that same effect in the clubhouse that you had when Josh Hader was traded halfway through the season, and it kind of really reset the vibe in that locker room. And I think Freddie Peralta would have an even bigger impact if you were to do that mid-season. He really was the heart of this team. It's a lot easier to reset that and get a new mentality flowing in that clubhouse now rather than halfway through the season. And whether or not you'd get more out of him at that point, you'd maybe get more MLB Now players, but you already got an MLB ready pitcher because he's been at that level with the Mets already, and a guy in Jet Williams who is less than a year away from being MLB ready at this point. Both these guys can help you pretty soon. It's the best trade that we've seen out of all the recent trades.
I'm not saying this for any other reason because I experienced it. I noticed over the years when Freddie first came up, his first few years, you talk about clubhouse stuff, just smiling a mile wide.
Always.
Hey, oh my gosh, he'd clown around in there. And then the last couple of years, and the very few times I've had some issues going on here, and the very few times I've been in the clubhouse, it seemed a little different to me. And maybe it was just the wrong day because I've had, clubhouse guys that have been great. Just you don't want to talk to them that day. So I have noticed a little difference. He's matured. There's no question about it. And he's earned this. He's earned this right. He's earned the right to become a free agent and go after just generational changing money. I like that for him. I'm happy for that. My guess is Stearns is going to give him a big contract in New York to stay with the Mets.
But he also hasn't done that all the time with the guys that he's traded for. Javier Baez, he let walk. Pete Alonso, he didn't want to pay as much recently. I think these guys, yeah, that's the hope. But at the same time, if you're not that stud, if you're not Francisco Lindor or Juan Soto, do they pay you that much?
Well, you acquire, and then the ones you think are special and know are special, then you keep. Look at the St. Louis Cardinals. Matt Holliday. Who is another? Nolan Arenado.
Molina, when he was there. Yep.
Molina, Arenado, acquire and keep the good ones. All right, we'll take a break here, come back, and talk a little bit more that, the Brewers, and maybe they're a better team because of this. I don't know about that right now, this very minute. So we'll talk about that after the break here. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tim Allen, Charlie in for Sparky today. If you want to hit us up, Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome back. It's hour number 2, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tim Allen and Charlie, the mainstay, here in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. He's back tomorrow. And Charlie, you being a football guy,
Yep.
right? You played football, collegiate athlete,
Yes,
right?
sir. D3. Yes.
No. Don't add that in there.
Why not?
Just add collegiate athlete.
I'm proud of the D3, Tim. I'm proud of the D3. That's where the real athletes are. Those are the guys that you got to love football. You got to love sports to play sports at the D3 level. It's not, you don't get the same type of hype. You know, I played at Elmhurst University. We were not very good. So sometimes it's going through a lot of bad seasons.
Okay.
And it's just for the love of the game. So I'm proud of that D3.
And as you get a little bit older, you've known, I think there's a commercial out there right now that the guy, I think it's an ER or some sort of healthcare commercial that says, I thought it was a bad idea to play flag football or something like that. And that got me thinking about, when the last time you guys actually got out there and literally threw a football around.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you did that?
I think the last time, like just playing catch, probably not since I played football. So about 2 to 3 years ago, but in the Milwaukee area, there's this place called First and Bowl. Me and my friends went where you like throw football at bowling pins. That was probably the last time. I went there like 2 months ago. So
okay.
If we're talking about just randomly like that, 2 months.
Just grabbing a football and headed outside.
I can't say, probably 2 to 3 years for that.
Okay, so we'll get to more on that in just a second here. Nicolay Law talking text line at 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Just, it got me thinking about it. In the meantime, a little Brewers baseball conversation. Good to be back here in Hales Corners, Wisconsin, locally in Milwaukee on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan. Which is where I did the post-game show for 16 years-ish, somewhere in there. But I've been talking to this cat for a long time. Brewer Mike, welcome to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Tim, it is awesome to hear you back on the radio. And Charlie, you've got probably one of the best gentlemen next to you.
Oh, I know
in the whole world. I mean, he is. Tim's like a brother to me. I was the first caller when him and Sparky put this thing together. I think it was on a Saturday afternoon. I think it might have been.
I think it was a Saturday. Yes.
Yeah, and I was driving around. I don't know, maybe half in the bag from the night before or something. And I'm like, wow, these guys are good. Anyway, Tim, what did we need last year from the Brewers? What were we looking for that would put us over the hump?
A power bat.
Thank you. What do we need this year? A power bat. Okay. Andrew Vaughn is not going to be, Roberto Clemente again, like he was last year. Andrew Vaughn could possibly, be Rob.
Oh, Mike, maybe he will.
I don't know.
Maybe he will be. Maybe he'll be the Brewers version of Vaughn rather than the White Sox version of Vaughn, because those numbers are quite disturbing. The difference between those numbers, I don't know how a guy does that there and does this here, which is cool, and I'm glad he did it. But maybe at $7 million, maybe he is that guy, one of those surprises. You and I have talked about that for years, the surprises you have every season, and maybe he's one that, hey, he got back on track. All he needed maybe in his career was a manager to tell him, if you chase, you'll sit. And which is what Murphy told him.
So do I put my money all in on him? Because my buddy's a White Sox fan, and he said that was just a fluke last year.
I don't know. He seemed to draw his walks, and that was the telltale to me. His on-base percentage he was not going to chase, and I think Murphy may have gotten to him.
But the Peralta trade, Tim, I mean, we don't know about these two guys. They could be the next, superstars. But Tim, I'm just upset. I didn't think we were going to get, I can't even think of anyone right now. I'm driving right now, but I can't think of anyone that the Mets might have given up. But Tim, the guy we just gave up won 17 games, and he's struck out 200 guys. And correct me if I'm wrong, in the last 4 or 5 years in a row.
Yeah, 176
and what do we
innings.
get from him?
Yeah,
we
the innings
two
were
guys
down.
That are
yeah.
possible. I just.
But see, again though, Mike, I'm telling you, something is pulling me toward trust. It has to, because what did we think about the Hader deal? What did we think about the Burns deal? What did we think about the Williams deal?
I know.
Now, what do we think about the Peralta deal? I mean, it really, in a way, it sucks that the Brewers have to do it this way. But
every year, Tim.
If indeed that's what they've come to, they've acquiesced, meaning they've stepped back and said, okay, this is the only way we're going to show some success to do it this way. Well, then throw your arms up and say, okay, then we'd probably do the same thing.
Tim, one more thing. We have to get rid of Mark Antanasio. We have to.
He owns the team. You can't trade him.
I'm not saying sell him, but I'm just saying we need an investor that is going to put a couple bucks on a player. I mean, you and I both know the Brewers, Kansas City, even sometimes the Cubs, they're not going to go all in on some of these guys. We need to make a CC thing for a whole frickin' year. I mean, we got Dave Parker, on his left leg. We got Jeff Suppan, who we thought was going to be Nolan Ryan. That was a bust. I get what you're saying, but Tim, every year it's a Band-Aid, and this Band-Aid, it's not sticking on.
Okay. Well, okay. All right, Mike, great talking to you, man.
Take care, gentlemen.
Thanks for the words. Yeah. Again, Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250 is where we find in Greenfield, Wisconsin. We say hello to Steve. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, Tim, good to hear you back on the radio again.
Thanks.
Brewer Mike kind of stole a little bit of my thunder. I think the Brewers got fleeced in this deal. If it had been Peralta straight up for two prospects, that would have been a fair deal. But throwing in Tobias Myers, they fleeced us. And I don't know if that's because of his high pitch count, that lowered his trade value, but I think they got taken advantage of.
Well, Steve, though, I will say this, that sometimes, and the St. Louis Cardinals taught me this over the years, you can't be afraid to trade these players. Look at the players that have rifled through St. Louis and over the years. And you're like, why did they holy crap, they traded him? He was dynamite. Tommy Edman. Why would they trade him? I want him in a Brewers uniform. I mean, so I could cite more examples, but you can't be afraid to pull the trigger on a trade, but it just seems like, oh man, Freddie Peralta, but who knows? Sproat may be the guy. Maybe a guy that picks up some of that slack that you lost. Maybe. Hey, Steve, let me ask you this. Now, be honest. When was the last time you went outside and threw a football around?
Oh, wow. Probably my early 20s. And I'm 67, so.
Okay. All right. Now, there's some honesty right there. All right, Steve, great hearing from you. We'll talk again, okay? It is. So you said years for you, and how old are you, Charlie?
I'm 24. So yeah, it's probably been about 3 years since the last time I actually went out and did that. Yeah.
I don't know if you could see it on my camera. There's, I'd probably have to go get it, but I do have an NFL football.
I think I see it right back in the middle. You can see it right under your mic. Yep.
Yeah. And it's, official NFL football that I, have not used in a while. You get to be a little safer with your bones. in your body. But I vowed over the weekend that I'm going to get out and throw a football around. I not to make this about me, but I think everybody will get to a point where you lock out, you check some boxes of things you won't do anymore. And I have been at that point here in the last 5 years. And that is, water skiing, no, all done.
Can't say I was ever going to try that anyways, personally, but
snowmobiling, yeah, probably done. Jet skiing, yep. Roller coasters, nope, not doing that anymore. There's just so many things that I'm just locked out. Rather just sit and play video poker and have a smoke and a high life.
That's relaxing.
Yes, it is. It's a little more fun, but I do want to get out. It changes, I think, with your kids too. And I know that when my son was, that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 range, right in there, it was quite a bit. It's quite often that we'd get out and throw a football around. So I miss it. And I think with, the season winding down here for football, we'll make it a point to send out this public service announcement for your health. Get out and throw a football around.
I'm down. I'll endorse that with you.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go on the Nicolay Law talk and text line 414-677-1250 to Burlington, Wisconsin. Know a lot of folks in Burlington there, but we say hello to Ryan. What's going on?
Tim, it's good to hear your voice, man. It's crazy
Thank
how many
you.
years I've been listening to you and Sparky. I'm glad to have you back, and don't ever leave.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I always laugh because this whole idea, the notion that we got fleeced, the notion that we got nothing. Does everyone think that Todd Johnson and the guys on the terrace level and I'm going to still call it Miller Park, but do we not have one of the best minor league teams, organizations in MLB?
Top 3.
So, okay, so top 3. So we're pretty good at judging talent, I would say. So just because Major League Baseball, the pipelines, or these talking heads say, oh, Jet Williams, he's 30th overall in baseball or 100th overall for Sprout, doesn't mean that's where the Brewers, who are very good at this, have them ranked. They may have looked at it and said, hey, we got other offers.
You're right.
But we think Jet Williams is the top 15 guy in all of baseball. We think Sprout is a top 20 guy in all of baseball. And not to mention, they are major league ready prospects. They are not a guy who's in single A ball. It takes 6 years to get a guy ready for the major leagues. These guys are ready. We had zero leverage. I don't want to lose Freddie. Hey, if we could have paid Freddie $250 million to keep him, absolutely. But we had no leverage. What happens? What do we get for Adames? Nothing. Mm-hmm. We got a pick because we lost him. We have no leverage. And what happens when we start the season and he goes down with a shoulder impingement? He goes down with a lat. He goes down. Where's our trade value then? What if we get nothing for? What if he goes out with a Tommy John?
We can't. Ryan, I love your point, and you may have called me back at the other station with that same point. Those rankings, they're subjective to what the Brewers think the ranking is. That's the difference here. Now, I mean, these prospect lists that are put together, I mean, that is up to the team what they think. They may think Jet Williams is the next Jose Altuve. And so we have to go with that. So, Ryan, let me ask you this. When was the last time you threw a football around?
I mean, with my kids, I'm throwing some around all the time.
Throwing a bunch of grief around. All right, thanks for the call, Ryan. Nicolay Law, talk and text line, 414-677-1250. Tim, Allen, Charlie Houston in for Sparky today. And where do we want to go here, Charlie?
You are very popular today, Tim. Next up, we are going to head over to James in the South Side. James, you're on with Tim Allen.
James, welcome in.
Yes, Tim, I've listened to you for a long time in that. I think that Mr. Ananasios has worn out his welcome. I think that as an owner in that, I think that he should move on somewhere or whatever it is. But I think we need somebody else. We need deep pockets like the Bucks have.
James, how old are you?
I'm older than you and younger than some dirt.
Okay, all right. So let me ask you this: so you suffered through the 26-year drought of playoff drought,
right?
In Milwaukee as a fan.
Yes, I have.
What have you thought of the last decade? In fact, I'll go you one further. What are your thoughts on the success or the defined success, whatever you want to define it as, since Atanasio bought the team? And I'm not going to go crazy and raise the flag for Atanasio. We can debate that. That's fine. That's your opinion. But the success rate since he bought this team has turned on its ear. It has, because we were used to not even making the playoffs. Now it's an every year occurrence, seemingly.
But Tim, the thing is that I think that him going after CC and a bunch of other players and stuff in the beginning there, when he's made some deals and that and everything else, I think that he was hoping that he could have won a championship or two or three, and then maybe bowed out and maybe moved back to either California or New York or wherever he's from, and did it that way. And it seems 20, 25 years he's owned the team here, and it's getting more and more stretched out kind of type of thing here. And I don't think we're going to go anywhere. I mean, last year was beautiful. The only couple of things that I miss on that team, and I'll say it as it is, I think we should have won 100 games for one. I think Peralta should have been able to win 20 games for two, and I think he should have been able to complete a complete game for three. I think that that would have made my season, even though that we didn't go all the way, into the playoffs as far as we did. I think those three things would have made my day a little bit better.
Okay, James, when was the last time you threw a football around?
Well, it's been a long time, but you know what? I don't want to see flag football, which they want to do for the
Pro Bowl.
For the Pro Bowl. I don't want to see that. Is that going to be the new way of
That's it. Yep, that's what they're going to do. And didn't they do this last year, Charlie?
Yep, last year, a couple of years.
I don't want to see.
Yeah.
Is pro football all of a sudden going to be flag football? We're going to call it Nancy football because
wussification of America, says James. All right, James, I got to scoot. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You sound great too. You do. All right. Nicolay Law talking text line I see is full, and you guys just sit right there. This will be a quick break, and we'll come back. I'll give you the answer of when the last time I literally threw anything. Baseball, football. Mm-hmm. I'll let you know on the other side of the break. There's Charlie Houston, and we're talking Brewers baseball. We'll get into Packers football here in just a little while. Charlie's Sounds of the Day coming up. Still a lot to get to throughout the afternoon today. Charlie and myself, Tim Allen, in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's here live in the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Back it is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tim Allen and Charlie Houston in for Sparky today. You said he was back Wednesday or tomorrow?
Tomorrow, right away.
It is tomorrow.
One
Okay.
day, little break. Yeah.
Everyone's saying, yay. Tommy Wirtz is going to join us here in a second. We'll get to your calls here as well. We see you on hold there. And Tommy, Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams, I think, have a lot to prove to some Brewer fans. We need to talk about that with those guys on Wednesday night, Hot Stove Weekly, 5:00 here on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. But what kind of feedback are you getting real quick on this Peralta deal now?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at it, I like the deal personally. I think it seemed inevitable when we were talking about it last week on Hot Stove Weekly, right? The entire first hour was pretty much dedicated to what happens and what kind of packages could you look for with Freddie Peralta. I think it's about as 50-50 split as I've seen a trade right now. When Burns got traded, everyone was mad. When Devin Williams got traded, it felt like everyone was ready for him to leave from the team. This one seems pretty divided right now, Tim.
Yeah, it does. And, I got to trust these guys. And I don't know if you heard the caller, James, that Atanasio had to go. We have to remember that those playoff less years, they were tough. They were tough, man. And now the baseline has changed. And inside Wisconsin Sports this morning, the boys and I had a conversation about that. And I brought that up, that the baseline at this point has changed. We expect success now for the Brewers. We expect them to vie for a division crown. We expect them in the playoffs every year. At some point, though, that gear should shift, and I'm not sure whether that's right now. I have a sneaking suspicion, real quick, Tommy, that Atanasio, one of these years, he is going to say, you know what? It's time to shift that gear a little bit, and he's going to raise that payroll up 20, 30 million.
Well, and I think that, Tim, one of these is going to have to blow up in their face in order for him to think that, right? Where I almost think that if something like that were to happen, bad news was the season before with Brewers baseball, because quite frankly, even though the Brewers continue to do this, they continue to come out better on the other side.
They do.
Even the Josh Hader trade, when you look at it and how terrible it was that season, that second half of the season, you don't have William Contreras a part of this ball club unless Josh Hader was traded that off or during that trade deadline period. And they've come out better on the other side, trading Corbin Burns. They've come out better on the other side when they've traded Devin Williams. So if your theory is true, Tim, I would think that things went horribly wrong beforehand for him to change his ideology up.
Maybe, but the good news is that the baseline floor is higher in Milwaukee now, and that's just the reality of it. We love it. I love it. I mean, we're going to have a blast this year talking Brewers baseball on a nightly basis, but, man, it's just they're always seemingly throwing curveballs at us, but I got to trust them. I do. At the end of the day, I may not like it, but I got to trust them. Tommy, we'll talk to you on your show here coming up at 5, wrap-up, right?
Yeah, Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up coming up today. Going to catch up with a couple of things that were earlier on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. We had Donnie Druin from Cardinals on SI join us on the Mason Crosby Show, get you the Arizona perspective on Jonathan Gannon. And it kind of sounds like, Tim, all the players love him and all the fans wanted him gone, so he'll fit in perfectly as a Green Bay Packer coach.
It's great. Catch Tommy at 5 today. All right, Tommy, thank you. There's Charlie, Tim Allen in for Sparky today. Let's get back to you guys. Nicolay Law talking text line at 414-677-1250. Kenny in the Falls. This beer count, Kenny, or the other Ken in the Falls?
Hold on, sticking in the cooler, Tim.
Hold on, me too. Here, let me start this out the right way, Kenny. Hold on.
All right.
Although, if you're watching me, it's a Mountain Dew. Yeah.
If you're watching me, it's a Coors Light.
All right, so what's up?
And if we're talking Brewer baseball in January, that's outstanding. I had to call in. I was listening in the car, and I made it back after all my errands today. But I disagree with the caller that says Antanasio needs to unload the team. No, what people don't understand is, and you brought up a great point about, 20 plus years we're coming up on where this team has done fabulous things, and they're going to do better things. In terms of what Tommy was saying, with the trade, I love the trade, and these trades that have been occurring have seemed to all work out for the Brewers for the most part, a good majority of them, because you don't know what you're going to get to start with, right? We don't know what these two guys that are coming on here with Williams and with Sproat, but the mere fact that they're looking in that direction, knowing that they weren't going to get much potentially for Freddie, and it was a good time to get something for him, I think this is going to turn out to be a good thing. Remember, we have a shortstop that can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. So bringing in another kid that's going to come in that has the credentials that he does right now, when you look at his bio line and what he's been doing, his batting, his average is down, but he brings so many other things, because not only can he play infield, but he can play outfield. But just having that ability to have that player to potentially come in and take over at shortstop, if at the very least competing to play shortstop. We need a shortstop. This Brewers team, the one thing they've done throughout the years, whether it's a decade or a decade plus, we've got great defensive shortstops. They just can't hit. We got to get guys that can hit, especially look at last year. How many times were bases loaded and we got nothing?
You just kept thinking he was going to come through every time. Every time down the stretch, he came up with the bases loaded. I'm like, this is the time he gaps one for 3. No, it just hardly ever happens. So
even with runners at second and third, how many times did he strike out, pop up, end the inning? It's like, oh my God!
But it's in there. It's in there. Look at the tail end of 24, man. I don't know where it went, but it was in there at that time. Kenny, I do have to go, man. We'll be in touch. All right.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take it easy. Let's go to is this the official lead singer of the postgame show, Jill?
Yes, sir. You are correct.
You know what's weird is Charlie never told me you were on hold, yet I texted you in that commercial break.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know. Like, do. Actually, I just had a student walk into my office, so I'll make this brief. You should be asking your listeners if they play a musical instrument.
We'll get to that. Good question. Good question.
Yeah.
Hey, while I got you on the line, just to let people know that aren't familiar with it, we play in a band together. Well, I play along with you guys. Give yourself your credit. We've got a post-game listener party set up for this Friday night. Now, granted, it's going to be cold, but big deal. We're not playing outside. We're in a nice warm bar. Swagger's Bar and Grill. Sports Bar and Grill in Franklin. And I texted you to find out what time. We're going 8 to 11, I think.
8 to 11:30. No cover charge. 8 to 11:30 on Friday. It's going to be a great time.
And check this out. Here's what you have a chance to win. The new post-game T-shirts are out, so we're going to give away one of those every 15 minutes or so throughout the night. We have some American Family gift cards. You can use them on tickets, concessions, parking, whatever you want to use them in the fan shop. $100 gift card, a couple of 50s to go out. We have a Potawatomi Sportsbook food gift card, 2 of them for $50 each. We'll have an overnight stay at Potawatomi Hotel, and 2, yes, not 1, but 2 different Jackson Churio jerseys to give away. This is going to be at Swagger's Sports Bar and Grill this Friday night in Franklin.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be super fun. I cannot wait. I'm super psyched about it. It's going to be super exciting. But yeah, so from here on out, you need to include, have they picked up their guitar? And when was the last time they did?
We've had post-gamers call in the show and play their guitar to us. So maybe we'll get that rolling. Jill, final thing. When was the last time you were out and about throwing a football around?
Probably with my son, and that was probably, he's 25 now. So probably 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when he played football for Waterford. So probably about about that long. It's been since I did, but I have.
Okay,
So,
official lead singer of the post-game show. There she is, Jill. You can hear her singing Journey and a whole lot of other stuff Friday night. All right, Jill, thank you.
Fun. Thank
All right,
you. Good to hear you on the radio.
Yep, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow night at practice. All right, Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250 as there's Charlie and Tim filling in for Sparky today. So, okay, so the last time I threw anything with any sort of velocity, and she's not listening. She's not listening. Was off the back deck of the house were some homemade blueberry muffins.
And you just threw them off?
Yes, they were not good.
What was wrong with them?
They were bad.
Throw them off the deck.
They weren't edible. I'm sorry. And it was because our backyard is fenced right next to a farmer's field down in Kenosha near Parkside College.
Right.
And so over the fence is just a field. Stepped out on the deck and I had to launch these things. How were those muffins, Tim? They were pretty good.
Finished them in a couple bites. I'm sure the deer appreciated it a little bit.
Absolutely, they did.
The
deer,
maybe.
That's funny you say that. Yeah, the deer would they're all over the place around here.
I guess if you're being grammatically correct, the deer, yes.
Yes.
Next up on the Nicolay Law talking text line, we do got Ram on the north side. Ram, you are on with Tim Allen.
Ram, great to hear from you. It's been a while.
Tim, wow. I was right in the car and I heard your voice. I said, that's not Tim Allen. And I jumped in the house. I still had my work clothes on. I said, let me call the show. And I said, wow. And you know what made me think about you is all those post-game shows when the Brewers were just getting up to this level. And I would call in and we have a discussion about it. And I know the fans didn't like about Peralta and this sort of thing, but I think we're in a great space. And I think right now the Brewers feel good about the pitching space. They're going to keep pitchers, keep young talent come in, but it just seemed like to me, Tim, that it's easier to get pitchers because they can have a good peak in their young years than it is to get a good hitter when you have to pay them down the road. And then the second thing, I think the Brewers should look at the college level and go NIL and just bring in $1 billion investor, and this just be in the conversation. And we just do 2-year contracts for top players, and we'd be right up there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's seemingly with the success that they've had, would only take a couple of pieces, So, I mean, I don't we all dream, Ram? Don't we dream of the Brewers? Wow, what could they do with a $20 million player and then an extra $15 million, just 2 players? Man,
go to the World Series.
Yeah, exactly. Take the next step.
What's the guy name? The player Guerrero or his dad play? If we had him,
Vladdy Jr.
We right there.
Man,
we right there because I think everything else will balance out.
Ram, the years are stacking up. We've been talking for many, many years, and I appreciate you, man. I do. And I want to know when the last time you threw a football around outside.
Well, it's not fair because to ask that question, because one of my jobs, I work with youth. So between football and basketball, even in the wintertime, we in the gym shooting hoops, but sometimes somebody brings a football in. So I'm going to say probably last Tuesday.
How many times full court?
In the gym, and we whipping around the gym. And, but that's what they. So that's not. I was hoping you wasn't going to ask me that question, but I'm as a trainer, I'm around athletes, middle school, high school, college athletes all the time. So I got to demonstrate sometimes.
Yes, you do.
All that talking, they don't believe you. And if they can't look you up on Google, they definitely don't believe you.
All right, Ram. Well, great hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take it easy. We go to south of the border. Are we past the demilitarized zone down there in Illinois and Vernon Hills? Is that where we're at, Charlie?
I think it's just Vernon, Wisconsin.
Oh, in Vernon, Wisconsin. Okay, not Vernon Hills, but Vernon. And what's your name?
Hey, this is Jenny. Can you hear me?
We got you, Jenny. What's going on?
Awesome. Muffin Man. Hey, do you remember me on the other station? I got my dog on the phone and made her say a bad word about the Cubs on command last year.
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah, that was me. So yeah, random thoughts, stream of consciousness, and I'll try to make it quick, but I'm all giddy because baseball, right? Because baseball. But you know, how far can the Brewers go? How far can any team go when you've got salary caps like the money that the Dodgers can just throw, and even some of these, you know, not as high salary teams, we just can't compete with the market. That said, I enjoyed the ride. I think Antanasio promised us a show and a good time, and that's what we're getting. And so anything else is icing on the cake. You can tell Jill the last time I picked up my guitar was yesterday, and the last time I played drums was Saturday.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah, the last time I picked up a baseball and threw anything, not football, but a baseball was on Christmas Eve because I got a backstop for Christmas because no one will play with me because I'm a 55-year-old middle-aged lady that's having a full-on crisis to go along with my hitting machine. And I hit balls in the backyard in the summer, and yeah, now I'm just raring to go. And I'm really looking forward. Like I said, I'm all crazy baseball now. I know the guys probably don't like this, but you guys all supported Major League. I'm sorry, not Major League, but League of Their Own with the ladies playing ball in the 40s. Yep. I'm super stoked for women's hardball coming to you in 2026. Don't know if it's going to last. I know it's going to be the butt of a lot of jokes in that, but you never know. I just love baseball. I don't care who's playing it.
Jenny, you sound like a rock star. What's going on? She's out throwing a baseball at a backstop. We called him a pitch back in the day, but you're throwing a baseball around. You're playing drums, playing guitar. That's a great lady.
I'm a rocker from way back when. Yeah, I play in a rockabilly band.
Sweet.
But you know, the reason I got to do that sports stuff is because I'm like you. I enjoy the cold one and a smoke and playing like, you know, World Series, Little League Baseball or Call of Duty. So my doctor said you got to get healthy. So why not look like the crazy old lady on the block? I'm happy with it.
You get one chance at life, man. That's it. All right. Hey, we'll talk again during the season. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
All right. Take care. Wow. See, there's a great lady right there.
A lot of cool people calling in today, Jim. This is awesome.
There's a great lady right there. We need to meet. So, Jenny, we find a band gig, or we'll come to yours or something.
I'm jealous of all you musically talented folks. I'm not like
it's never too late.
It's
never too late.
I know. I still got time, but I've tried like guitar. My fingers aren't coordinated enough for that.
It's not that they aren't. You're teaching your body to do something it's not used to.
All right.
That's all.
I like the glass half full mentality.
I should be a hell of a lot better on guitar than I am. Trust me, guys. I should. And if you come out to the band gig, you'll see. You know, again, for as long as I've been playing, but I always put it this way. Excuse me if you've heard this before from me, but it's oh so true. I've had a job my whole life, and I didn't sit around on the couch smoking weed and getting good on guitar.
That's fair.
So I'd be a lot better. Might have been a lot more fun than working. But it should be, but it's never too late, man. I bought the Heavy Metal Guitar Bible, it was called, and it took you from ground zero on how to play guitar. It taught you what these little turny things on your guitar is and what this is and what that does. And then it taught you the easiest way, point A to point B, to playing rock guitar. And then it just went from there. I just taught myself. Just off we went. So off we go to a break here. We'll continue our conversation. Charlie Sounds not too far away as we get some Brewers in here. We'll get some Green Bay Packers conversation too. Defensive coordinator search is now over. Jonathan Gannon hired, and we'll get into that as well coming up in just a little bit here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's, live here in the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, welcome back. Time now, as you just heard, Chicago Charlie. See, I haven't called you that one time.
You have not. I'm pretty good about being, unbiased, being able to stay within the Wisconsin sports realms. But Sparky still likes to bring it back. He says I'm brainwashed by my dad, I guess.
So I've had to deal with Rami over the years,
Yep.
and now you. So I'm used to it. It's okay. All right, what do you have for today's sound?
All right, so first up, we're going to head over to one of the new prospects that came in from that Freddie Peralta trade, Brandon Sproat. He was discussing the Brewers pitching development and why he's excited to be a part of it.
No, I'm super excited. I talked to Merv, talked to Hook the other day, and they're all excited as well. I've heard great things about Merv and how he's a great players coach. I've heard great things about Hook, but I'm super excited. I mean, every single player, not just the pitchers, but position players as well. Everyone's a grinder, like Jet mentioned. Everyone just goes to work every single day. Like I said, you just keep their head down. That's all we can do. So I'm super excited to be a part of it, and super excited just to get to work with those guys and see what they have for me and just ask them questions and pick their brain.
You have to, reserve judgment on your thoughts on a player just by a sound clip. You do, both good and bad. I have always said that you hire intelligent people, have intelligent people around you, not just because they're intelligent, but because most intelligent people, almost all intelligent people, make good decisions. So in other words, if you have an intelligent player, he's going to make a decision to make his craft better. If you get some jock dum-dum, right? He's just going to be, I'm fine. He'll be like my son at 12. Don't you think you should go do some more hitting? I'm fine. But yeah, he sounds intelligent. So that's a good start. I like him. We're going to have another conversation. We're going to have a live conversation with him Wednesday night here on the network.
Should be really cool. The other guy you're having a conversation with is Jet Williams, and he was speaking on his height and how that factors into his game.
Yeah, I think just kind of growing up, it's always been, I guess, a little bit of, hey, is he 5'7" or 5'8"? And I think my brothers and my family have kind of helped me. I think obviously everybody says what they want to say, but I think I hear it worse from my brothers and my family just joking around. So I think I'm kind of used to it by now. But yeah, I think just that's kind of what made me the player I am today, of just kind of how everybody says something and just kind of always similar to the Brewers, the way they play, a little bit of chip on their shoulder and scrappy. So I think just it's going to be a good fit.
Yeah, we talked with Caleb Durbin about his, as Bob Uecker would say, diminutive stature.
That seems a little mean to put it that way.
Well, that's the way he used to put it for many, many years. Just means you're a little bit smaller. That's all. And I think Caleb put it to us this way, that he's had to work harder because of it. It makes you work harder. You do have something to prove here. I can play this game. The game of baseball can be played in all shapes, sizes, and colors, folks. It can, and that's been proven out for years. So, yeah, more on that on Wednesday night. But, okay, so we'll talk defensive coordinator after the break here. Is that the plan?
That is the plan. Big hire for the Packers.
We'll learn a little bit about Jonathan Gannon. That's coming up next as Wisconsin Sports Daily rolls on, served up by Wendy's here live in the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Yeah, welcome back. It is another hour of Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. And did you know, youth sports, free Frosty offer. Did you know that any youth sports player could score a free small Frosty anytime they visit Wendy's in their sports uniform? That's right. Stop by after practice or with your team after a game. Who doesn't love a Frosty? Again, we are served up by Wendy's here today. Tim Allen, Charlie Houston in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. And let's squeeze in one more call before we get to our green and gold update. Let's go to Marshall. Marshall, welcome in to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Well, good afternoon, Tim. Hello. It's good.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. Happy New Year, by the way. A little late. It's a decent start to the new year, even with the cold air and everything. Still have some health things coming in later in the year, but right now, at least presently, I'm doing okay. And
good to hear.
Hanging in there, just enjoying a lot of things. Of course, my mind is a little down under, if you know what I mean, at times right now. But enjoying the football and good to talk hot stove a little bit here too right now.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick before you get your comment in on the Brewers, when was the last time you threw a football around?
Oh gosh, it's been. I have to be honest. It's been years. I mean, I'm around kids in my apartment complex here, and that I run, and I've thrown the ball, I guess, to them a little bit here and there, but
okay, no
real big long passes, but enough to still understand the throwing motion and everything.
Good to hear.
So anyway, yeah, a lot to say on the Brewers. I've been listening to your other callers here a little bit, and I'm with them. I think there's great reason for optimism. How can we not like the direction this franchise is going? It's been going a long time now, and the Peralta trade was a tough call, but again, you got to, as you said earlier, Tim, and as some of your callers say, as I sometimes say in sports, in front office lingo, trust the brain trust, and just the brain trust has done pretty darn good here over the last 10, 15 years or so, and I think it's going to do pretty good here. And it's just the reality of a small market, and we have to remember, folks, that Freddie Peralta is wonderful, and we're going to miss him in the clubhouse, miss him as a teammate, all those things, sure. But, the guy is as old Bill Michaels used to say, you can't do it from the tub. And Freddie was in the tub a little more than you'd like. And I think that might have factored into it a little bit. And I think getting some new prospects, it's going to be exciting, or as Olivia Newton-John used to say, electrifying. This whole thing is that right now, and I think we're going to have another 90+ win season and a lot of fun. And not 97 might be a bit of an ask, but if we can get 92, 94. That's still a tremendous year, and just keep it going here.
Yep.
And
Yep.
before I let you go, I've got a little bit of a joke. I mean,
Shoot.
getting into the Packers a little, Tim, and your music thing. With all your music things, you might say none of you all are going to be playing the Clayton tune here in Wisconsin anymore.
There he is, Marshall. Catch him Friday nights at the Comedy Club. All right, Marshall, thank you. Appreciate it. Oh. Yeah, we've been talking to him. Oh, boy. Charlie, the first time I think
said the 90s early.
Yeah, down the dial at a different place back in 93.
Wow.
90,
8 years before I was born.
Okay. I'm not old. Stop.
I like to call Sparky old sometimes. So, I got to pass it around a little bit.
Yeah. All right. He mentioned the Green Bay Packers. Well, let's get to our green and gold update.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
Well, not today with Sparky. He's going to be back tomorrow. But you do have Charlie Houston, Chicago Charlie. And my name is Tim. Nice to meet you. Jonathan Gannon. What do we know about the new Packers defensive coordinator? Well, let's find out. 43 years old. He's just coming off of 3 years as head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, where he was 15-36 overall.
That's horrible.
Ouch. Okay, including 3-14 last year. Now they've had some rough goes of it. They have. Kyler Murray, they sort of went all in on, and health wise. Speaking of which, I gotta just correct something here. The Freddie Peralta comment that was just made in the tub. I'm assuming that means he's been hurt.
I would assume so. I haven't
Not
heard
so
that too often. Yeah.
I mean, look at his starts. The last 3 years.
He was probably the most healthy Brewers pitcher out of any Brewers pitcher that we've
He
seen.
might have been the most healthy pitcher in all of baseball the last 3 years.
Potentially, especially the way guys' elbows have been going out and shoulders have been going out recently. He's been a mainstay in that Brewers rotation.
Absolutely. So I just had to clear that up a little bit. Got some wrong information there, Marshall. But Kyler Murray when he first came into play here, I think you looked at him as potentially elite talent, potentially a franchise quarterback like we talked about in the first hour of the show today. But it doesn't look like that's panning out. I loved what Jacoby Brissett did down there, as a matter of fact, in Arizona. There's a guy, you talk about quarterbacks, that will, not dampen the Super Bowl chances if something goes wrong late in the season. That'd be a guy I'd be looking at right now if I'm Green Bay.
Yeah, definitely the upper echelon of backup quarterbacks, and he's not going to cost you $20 million like Malik Willis will. He's had the opportunity to be a starter, and Malik Willis just hasn't really gotten that full season. He had that rookie season, but other than that, he hasn't got that shot. So I think he's a little shinier to some of these other coaches, some of these other franchises. I think Jacoby Brissett can definitely be that type of guy. But at the same time, I think a lot of the success that Jacoby Brissett found last season when he was in Arizona, when he broke the completions record in a single game, a lot of that had to do with more like, in my mind, Trey McBride being such a phenomenal tight end. He was by far the best tight end in football this year.
Sure.
That's just because Jacoby Brissett and Kyler Murray, when he was out there, was just feeding him this entire time. I think Kyler Murray, just again, the injuries, he's somebody that is in the tub for sure throughout his entire career. But when he's hit those peaks, he does look like that franchise guy. He does look like that number one overall pick that everybody thought he could be. There's a lot of other guys that have been in his position or drafted a little bit later than he was that don't even hit those peaks. So I think there are going to be some teams that will still take a shot on a guy like Kyler Murray, especially if you have a good offensive line and a good offensive head coach.
And you're right with McBride. And also Mike Wilson. We can't forget about
fantasy
that
for me
dude.
End of year.
That dude gave me a run in fantasy football. Like, wow.
He helped me out big time.
He was a plug and play. You had to start him down the stretch. That was cool. So back to Gannon here. He played at Louisville. An injury sort of derailed his playing career. He went on to offensive assistant at Louisville after his playing days back in 2003. Then went on to coach in various different roles with the Falcons, Titans, Vikings, Colts, Eagles. And the Eagles is where he had the bigger time success there.
Yeah, made a name for himself as a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator.
He did
have a lot of talent on that defense, and that's
what got him the job.
And I think what you saw in Arizona, despite it not being the most successful team overall, I think you saw some really creative defenses with not a lot of talent on that side of the ball. You saw how heavily they went into that in the draft this past year. It showed on the field. And injuries, talk about Kyler Murray, their defense had tons of injuries all 3 years of Gannon's tenure. I think he showed that he can be successful, like kind of like Kyler Murray, like I was talking about before, at the highest level. But yeah, there are really low lows that you have to be concerned about too.
Yeah, absolutely. And he does have obvious pieces to work with here in Green Bay. No question. Defensive coordinator in 21 and 22 for the Eagles, a top 10 D in both of those years, including in 22, where they lost in the Super Bowl, granted, but number one against the pass and 8th in points allowed in 2022. And that's what catapulted him into a head coaching position. I don't know where fans lie on a former head coach being a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator. I think it can only help because they just know more about the system of football, and not just that particular team system. They just know where the head coach is coming from. They know, the regimen that he goes through on a weekly basis. And maybe he takes some of that away from the head coach and picks up a little bit of the slack there. So I think it's probably a good thing. And again, you want Joe Barry, Pettin, you want to go back to these guys, or is this another one of a long litany list of defensive coordinators for the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah,
this is the 4th now under LaFleur. I mean, at some point, LaFleur is going to have to get one that sticks.
Well, and the 4th, different kind of defensive coordinator too.
True.
This feels like a new type of build that he's bringing in for this position. I think for a guy like Matt LaFleur and guys like Kevin O'Connell, who brought in Brian Flores a couple of years ago to be his defensive coordinator, I think these guys, where they feel like they've hit this peak for themselves and then need to take that next step, need to get over that hurdle, a guy like Jonathan Gannon, a guy like Brian Flores is good for that because they know and have had that experience to where they can challenge you a little bit more on some decisions. I know some people are worried that he could be a yes man. I don't feel like he's in that range. I feel like this is a guy that needs to work his way back up to where he thinks he should be as a head coach. So he's going to take a kind of back seat, kind of like Robert Saleh whenever he goes back to San Francisco every single time. I think this is something for a Matt LaFleur that could be really beneficial. Now, if it was Ben Johnson, I think bringing in a guy like Gannon would be kind of a struggle. I think you want more guys that are also learning so that you can make a name for yourself and not be overshadowed by another potential head coach that could replace you if things went bad.
I think that Matt LaFleur is respected around the league. I do, regardless of what fans think, because I've heard it. We're all surrounded by Green Bay Packers fans. And what I heard late in the season was remarkable, that it was get rid of him, fire LaFleur. And I held firm. On and off the air. Why would you do that? Not yet, guys, not yet. He's a really good head football coach. He is. And so now I'm sure that the front office, they did consult with LaFleur on this after the extension. And hey, what do you want to do here? This was I think a family decision, if you will. All right, some other reaction around the media here in the state of Wisconsin.
For sure. So let's start off with our friend of this network here, Andy Herman of Pack-A-Day Radio, or Pack-A-Day Podcast, excuse me. He was discussing the Jonathan Gannon hire.
Reasons to like it. Head coach. I like the experience that he has there. He's proven that he can generate a top 5 defense in the NFL. There's a ton of respect around the league and league circles, and the experience is there. They had to find somebody with experience to come in and hopefully lead this team right away. Reasons I don't like it. Again, some of that communication and awkwardness. Felt like 2022 might have been a little bit fake. Tough to say, but it might have been. And was just hoping for something a little bit more aggressive and something a little bit more attacking. It's not that Jonathan Gannon is this terrible candidate, which I said. Does it feel a little bit underwhelming? Yes. But at the end of the day, I'm intrigued to see if he can come in and coordinate this defense to the best of his ability and really take what he did in Philly already, learn from some of the stuff from Philly, learn from maybe some of the mistakes in Arizona, and really put together his best effort yet as defensive coordinator in Green Bay.
Well, it could be the same sort of philosophy when you look for a franchise quarterback. Keep going. Keep at it. You'll find one. You'll find the good defensive coordinator. You keep at it.
Or a kicker if you're in the Packers situation.
Or kicker, keep going. Keep looking.
Keep working them out. Yep.
Yeah. Well, the trick here is that you don't wait too long. And I think that has been the Packers' philosophy. I mean, these guys aren't around 5-6 years. they're pretty much a couple. You need to get some results, some positive results, or we got to let you go. This offense, I don't think has been bad at all when it comes to, are they good enough to win a Super Bowl? They are. Well, now the defense has to hold up their end of the bargain. And I think Gannon is obviously a huge part of that.
I think so too. Again, I think Jeff Hafley, what you saw from him, especially over the course of those last 5 games of the season, without a Micah Parsons on the field, and I know he did it the season before without Micah Parsons, but you saw them kind of freak out a little bit. They went and played super safe, which you couldn't do because you didn't have the pass rush to do that. But if you wanted to be more aggressive, then you were putting your cornerbacks at risk too. I think given a little bit more talent, and now, again, a defensive coordinator that maybe has a little bit more NFL experience than a Jeff Hafley can come in and maybe find ways to be creative with some of these players that aren't the top tier talent, or find different ways to bring in these new recruits that he's worked with from across the league and say, hey, you can come here to Green Bay and be in my system here. I know it didn't work out in Arizona, but we can make it work here.
How many of us, when Micah Parsons was brought in, how many of us as football fans and Packer fans said this defense, they're going to wreak havoc on people?
I did. Yep.
There's going to be sacks. There's going to be a ton of turnovers. There's going to be touchdowns. And that just didn't happen. And that's the unfortunate thing, that, wow, you have those types of pieces here, and you couldn't even get a strip sack, scoop, score?
Never. They were one of the worst teams in the league in turnovers. It felt like everything that happened last year, a lot of those players forced turnovers more, especially Xavier McKinney in the first half of the year, because it felt like for some reason in my mind that he had to go out there and do that. And then you bring in a Micah Parsons, and not saying Xavier McKinney played bad this season, but he didn't have the same impact as he did last season. None of these guys did that played at that same level. Jaron Cooper was really good this season. Didn't have the same impact that he did at the second half of the season last year, or at least it didn't feel like that. I think a lot of these guys, rest a little bit when you have a Micah Parsons on the field, and the moment he's taken away from you, like he was halfway through the season at the Denver Broncos game, you all of a sudden have to stand up and knock the rust off, and it's just not going to be soon enough.
And how many times did you watch this Packers defense this past season drop a football? Now, again, I'll fully admit they're not wide receivers. I understand that. But the number of footballs in their hands, I've never seen anything like it, guys.
Well,
I've watched almost every minute of every Packer game this season. And the amount of defensive players that had hands on footballs and then didn't come up with the catch is just amazing. I was mystified by it.
Well, and not even just turnovers, but in crucial moments, they were not making plays when they had big opportunities.
Catch the freaking football.
Right.
Are you kidding?
And it's moments in these games where they could change the entire trajectory of the game, and then they ended up not being able to do that, or they had to win in more creative ways with the offense instead of the defense, when you could have ended the game 3 minutes ago with a game-sealing interception. Your offense could have ran the ball out. They had to make it interesting every single time, and you don't want that.
Man, it's just I don't mean to laugh about it, but it was sort of comical at times.
Right. It was like, just put hands on your head, just like, oh my gosh,
Wow,
how is that happening
really?
again?
Who wants to be I don't know. I don't want to judge any particular player, but there was one that really was in my doghouse. And it's like, don't you want, if I'm a DB, I would not only want to get turnovers, I'd want to get touchdowns. That's where I'm at.
That's how I'd want to get your name on the national media. Yeah.
I'd want to be going 68 with a pick six as I'm watching myself on the Jumbotron.
Do the little celebration, run into the end zone, be the cool guy. Yeah.
That's just me. And that didn't, did they have any defensive scores this year?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but I'll go double check just to make sure.
Think they did. How does that even occur? There's defenses out there that have double-digit touchdowns. Think of the odds of a defensive score just in a random game.
In today's day and age, it's a lot more likely than I think it was a while ago. Teams are a lot more aggressive. Teams are putting their skill players, I think, in more island situations in order to make these types of plays. And it also leads to better cornerbacks taking plays to the house because there's no other players around those guys.
Clearly something had to be done with the defense. And it wasn't so clear on the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw where this thing went. And that was the defensive coordinator. More reaction around the state.
So if we head on over to Locked On Packers with Peter Bukowski, again, another friend of the network here, he was discussing, again, the Gannon hire and why he may not be as excited.
It's not the Wisconsin homecoming that a lot of Packer fans wanted, but the Green Bay Packers got an excellent new defensive coordinator. I'm Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers, and just hours after we got reports that Jim Leonhard, former Badgers defensive coordinator and Wisconsin boy, and the Packers had mutual interest in the open defensive coordinator position, we got the reports Jonathan Gannon, former Arizona Cardinals head coach, is going to get that job. And setting aside the disappointment of not getting Leonhard, Jonathan Gannon is one of the most respected coaches in the league around the NFL. People that I talked to said this is a terrific hire. He was one of the most coveted coaches in this coaching cycle. And in fact, the Packers had to act fast or risk losing Gannon because multiple other teams were going to or had already made offers to make Gannon part of their defensive staff. This is a coach who led a record-setting defense in Philadelphia, a job in Philly that got him his job in Arizona, which played a very different style of defense. They showed to be adaptive, to be malleable, and they had a good defense until about halfway through the season when injuries just savaged that defense. This is a much better hire than fan sentiment is going to have you believe. This has the Packers moving in the right direction as they head into the offseason.
I kind of believe him. he put out a good case right there.
He sells it a little bit. And I think the first part of that clip, the Jim Leonhard, a little bit disappointment.
Yeah.
Second time around here, a lot of people were really excited about giving him another opportunity after he turned it down the first time. And then now you don't even get an interview with him when, again, that's what a lot of people were calling for. That's a little disappointing. It's not as flashy as a Jim Leonhard bringing in Jonathan Gannon, but to his point, maybe that's what the Packers need.
Well, where's Leonhard now?
He was in Denver.
Defense coordinator?
Yep. Yeah, like
In
defensive
Denver.
passing game coordinator. Yep.
Something like
and
that.
they were phenomenal as always this year.
Well, it's nice to have Surtain back there too.
Yeah, it's really nice. Riley Moss plays his role as well too. Yeah.
Yeah. So was this a timing thing though, as he just stated, where they had to act fast? I think so. You got one more?
I do have one more. We got Aaron Nagler of Cheesehead TV also talking about the topic.
Because Green Bay has hired Jonathan Gannon, who certainly was a disappointment as a head coach in Arizona, but is a very good defensive mind and has the background as a defensive backs coach that certainly served Jeff Hafley well, something that I think Matt LaFleur was looking for, and a guy who doesn't really get boxed in by scheme. I know I've already seen a couple of questions here about what scheme does he run? Well, he's been pretty malleable and pretty versatile, not unlike Jeff Hafley was in his 2 years in Green Bay. And you look at the work he did both in Arizona, but particularly obviously in Philadelphia, which got him the head coaching job. It's a guy who certainly knows how to put his players in the best position. Now, what will it look like in Green Bay with the personnel he has? That remains to be seen, but clearly Matt LaFleur interested and has pulled the trigger to hire the man. And by Tom Pelissero's reporting, it sure feels like and seems like Gannon had a couple of different offers on the table. And apparently Matt LaFleur didn't want to wait.
Do you really, really know how it's going to turn out?
No.
There's some educated guesses, of course, but a lot like anything, nothing is guaranteed in the NFL. We'll have to wait and see. I can pretty much tell you this. They'll find the end zone on defense more than they did this year.
They have to. They didn't find it once this year, and it was like 3 total turnovers on the season in general. You have to.
That is unbelievable. There had to be a move there. You had to make a move there. So, all right, Jonathan Gannon, the new defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers moving forward. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily as we are served up by Wendy's. And Wendy's really outdid themselves this time. These new biggie deals at $4, $6, and $8. The new biggie deals are bigger than ever. If you're feeling something snacky, you can get the $4 mini. You've medium, get yourself a $6 biggie bag with the junior bacon cheeseburger. If you want to go full biggie, you can get the $8 biggie bundle with your choice of 2 sandwiches, a small soft drink, and a junior fry. The choice is yours. For a pretty biggie deal, got to be Wendy's. All right, we'll take a break, come back, maybe get a couple of comments from Brewers manager Pat Murphy accepting his award for the manager of the year back to back. Wow. And from what I understand, I've heard pieces of this. I haven't heard the whole thing, but from what I understand, it is classic Murph, and we'll do that next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Did you guys realize that there's only one more Sunday of football until August? Hey, wow. Really?
That's
But
insane.
in the meantime, Charlie, we do have baseball to keep us company.
We do indeed, and I'm excited about it. I love the baseball season, and Pat Murphy just keeps winning awards, Tim.
Yeah, he does. Back-to-back Manager of the Year, Baseball Writers Association of America get together, their gala, and presented the award to Pat Murphy. This we got from Foul Territory, and the audio is just, any time. And those longtime listeners of me know that Murph, we kind of burst him on the scene, my buddy Bill and I, and we got to know Murph back in 2016, 17 range, and just we noticed something a little about Pat Murphy, that there's an entertainer in there. and some would say a rather eclectic man.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the way to put it, but Murph is gold. He is golden and a good dude. I can attest to that. So let's hear his acceptance speech. And of course, he's going to credit many, many people. Do you have the Alvarez within this as well?
Not within this. I kept that separate.
Okay.
But I could start with that if you wanted to start with.
Yeah. Why don't we get Pedro Alvarez, the former Pittsburgh Pirate and MLB player, who's his son-in-law. But he had brought up Pat Murphy. Give this a listen.
I'm Pedro Alvarez, and if the name sounds familiar, the Troy Polamalu hair is throwing you off. Yes, I used to play for Pittsburgh and the Orioles. Tonight, I have the honor of introducing my father-in-law as he accepts his second consecutive National League Manager of the Year award. To people outside of baseball, Murphy's rise to manager legend might seem fast, maybe even surprising. But for those of us lucky enough to have a front row seat, we've known for decades what happens when Murph enters the ring. Murph has always had a big personality. This is a man who used to box, believes pocket pancakes are a perfectly reasonable travel snack, and somehow has kids who ages range from 40 to 7, which means he's coached every generation, including his own family. And yes, Murph used to box. If you didn't know that, don't worry, he'll probably bring it up. When I met Kelly, my wife Kelly, almost 20 years ago, Murph was already one of the best and most successful college coaches in the country, with incredible careers at Notre Dame and powerhouse ASU. Even though he didn't recruit me out of high school, remember that, I always admired the way success followed him, and more importantly, followed the people who played for him. When Murph faced a devastating blow that forced him to make a career change, he didn't chase headlines or attention. He quietly and humbly found his way back to impacting the game he loves. What we now call the Murph era of baseball started in short season games in Eugene, Oregon, and was forged alongside veterans and rookies in AAA El Paso. When his longtime friend and former player, Craig Counsell, asked him to join the big league staff in Milwaukee as a bench coach, Murph accepted with the same eagerness and curiosity that defined his entire career. The Murph era might look like bunts and PFPs, but that's not the real philosophy. The real lesson is showing up for the people around you. A dugout full of average Joes, and bringing your best self every single day. It's getting knocked down and having the strength to start over. It's the win tonight mentality, no matter where you are or who you're playing. Murph has a lot of sayings, but one that's always stuck with me is this: it's not where you're going, it's who you're bringing. I'll admit, when Murph started coaching again in short season ball, I wasn't sure that where he was going would be in this room 2 years in a row. But there was never any doubt that Murph would be the kind of person who deserves to be here. Because Murph wins at every level, and he does it the right way, by being present, by lifting others, and by making everyone around him better. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 National League Manager of the Year, Pat Murphy.
All right, we'll get to Murph here in just a second. One of the things that people ask me, what do you love most about Murph? Because he likes you and you have good radio. No, that's what I like most about him. What I like most about him is what Pedro Alvarez just mentioned there. That win this game and worry about it later. And I fully understand the game of baseball. I fully understand that you got to, hey, it's how much work have you done in the last couple of days? A bullpen arm, is he ready? We have a big series coming up against the division leader or things of that nature. I want to, the art of winning is to win right now. It's to win this game. We'll worry about that later. And he has said that. He has come out and said, hey, we'll worry about tomorrow. It's win tonight. I absolutely love that out of a coach or a manager. And let's get to Pat Murphy as you'll be entertained on this one. Check it out.
Pedro, thank you very much. He hasn't always been so good to me. Silver Slugger winner, All-Star, led the National League in home runs. But in 2015, when his father-in-law got a chance to be in the big leagues for the first time, he had to hit a 2-2 changeup down, missile past the second baseman to walk it off and kind of look at me as he ran to first. Like we might be family, but this is what I do. Homegrown New York kid. Shout out to his parents. Did an incredible job. The whole Alvarez family, his sister Jelena, who works for MLB. And yeah, Pedro, thank you very much. Special for me. I'll try to be brief. I never am. Baseball Writers Association, thanks for what you do for baseball. I'm not quite sure what it is, but thank you. Shout out to the 86 Mets. You know, I was never good enough to play against the 86 Mets, but I played against 83 Lynchburg Mets. Where's Doc? How about it, Doc? Doc started 0-3 and then won 19 straight. Yeah. Dykstra was your center fielder, like 150 pounds, remember? Yeah. I couldn't get him out. Yeah. Great jobs, 86 Mets. All right, we're wondering now, I want to be brief. Where's the picture? What do we got? There it is. Okay, you guys remember Coming to America, right? Put up the other guy, the real guy. King Joffrey. Joffrey Joffer. There he is. The king of Zamunda. So here's the story behind it. This was going to be my outfit tonight. Go back to the other picture. Where's Judge? What do you think? I thought it would be funny. You know what I mean? These guys are so athletic looking and so much history, and who am I? I figured, yeah, I'll be funny. Well, we couldn't get it done in time. Vogt and I decided last year we were coming in Dumb and Dumber tuxedos. You remember those? We chickened out. Anyway, yeah, I want to talk about the 25 Brewers, you know, starting from our ownership and Mark and Debbie Atanasio, our front office. I call them the Ivory Tower. They've never made a mistake. Matt Arnold leads the minions there. It's beautiful. It is a real family atmosphere. We have to thread the needle. But I think about the most important thing, and that's those players. And I think about the 25 team, and when we got off to an unbelievable start. You guys remember the Yankee series? Judge didn't hit a ball below 105. He had like 7 homers in the first weekend. We had the biggest run differential in baseball history. True story. After 4 games, we got beat 11-0 on our home opener. It was beautiful. So I thought I was going back to college for sure. But they responded, and a great leadership. We got a guy named Yelich. We had another great leader and a guy named Freddie Peralta, who you guys might get comfortable with. They were hungry. They were aware. And you mix that together, hungry and aware, good things can happen. And to see their faces early, people say, what's your biggest memory? To see their faces early in the year, and they didn't really believe some of the young guys, all of them under 5'9". But yeah, the Brewers contingent was going to be here tonight, but couldn't because we're spending on money on lowering the soap dispensers in the locker room. Because we just picked up one of your prospects, Jet Williams. He's like 5'5". That's how we roll. No, but it's a beautiful thing. 25 Brewers. I'm going to tell you the truth. This manager of the year thing, I mean, again, I don't know what you writers really do anyway, but like this is about the organization. This is about the players. I had an amazing group of guys that were hungry and aware and wanted to win. And it was their priority, and it never wavered. And they turned it around and did a great job, made me look good. And I'm very thankful to them, first and foremost, our front office, our ownership, and I guess the writers.
Yeah, there he is, Pat Murphy. And get the full sound on that. There's still a ways to go on that. Wednesday night on Hot Stove Weekly here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. What I hear in Murph there is obvious. I hear the same thing you guys hear. Just it sounds like a great dude. He's a funny guy. You know what I hear in there?
What's that?
Bob Uecker.
Yeah, I can hear it a little bit, especially with the fun at the beginning. Yeah.
Yep, I do hear some uke in there. Where when it's time for serious, he gets serious. When it's time not, hey, man, we're going to poke fun at ourselves as well. The soap dispensers, lowering that because a lot of the guys are a little bit down in height. It's just awesome. And we'll give you that full spread on Wednesday night, along with Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams, as we'll have them on the show live, Tommy Wirtz and myself, on Hot Stove Weekly coming up on Wednesday night at 5 o'clock. We'll take a break right now. There's Charlie Houston, Tim Allen. We're both in today for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. It's Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, and it's powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
I know what Sparky missed. He missed this one. Wisconsin ranked 4th in the best states to raise your family. How about that, Sparky? You missed that one.
All right, I like that.
Is that why it took him so long to get the kid thing going on there?
I think so. Tommy Wirtz, Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up coming up in just a couple of minutes. Real quick, Tommy, you and I will have to play in full version that Pat Murphy sound right there on Hot Stove Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give people a sneak peek in Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up of Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams talking today. So that'll be coming up in the first segment. People want to talk some Brewers baseball. I'll keep the phone lines open for one segment before I play back Donnie Druin from Cardinals on SI earlier today.
Yeah, perfect, because we'll chat with Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat on Wednesday night, as well as hearing the full presser from Murph and his acceptance speech. Do you get that a little bit, real quick, before we turn things over to you? Do you get that a little bit, a little Bob Uecker in Murph?
Ooh, I think from a smart Alex standpoint, right? And doesn't take anything too seriously. I think of Pat Murphy as just being the coolest grandpa you could possibly have and the worst father-in-law you could have all at the same time. So if that's how you felt about Bob, I guess that's how you could feel about Murph.
Yeah, I mean, the difference in his kids' ages tells me something about Murph.
He was having a good time. He was having a good time. Yeah.
And it wasn't that long ago.
Age has no number, Tim. Age has no number.
It wasn't that long ago. It was just 7 years ago,
Yeah.
7 or 8 years ago, man. But good dude. So we'll have more of that, more Brewers conversation coming up with Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz here in just a couple of minutes. But Charlie, it was good working with you.
It was really awesome working with you and meeting you as well. I hope we can do it again in the future.
Now, real quick, you guys are far more experienced than I am with what I'm pointing at over here.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's that thing right there.
Yeah. Stream. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the video stream. I don't like it, I gotta say.
Oh, you're natural at it.
I'm just saying I don't like it. In fact, no, I don't have it in front of me. Oh, believe me, during the post-game show later on this year, Tommy,
Yeah,
there will be plenty of things to show
that's
our
fine.
audience.
It's fine. Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So stick around. You guys might like it. I really don't.
All right. You look great. You're killing it.
But well, I do have appropriate sweatshirt on. There we go. All right. That's going to do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tommy Wirtz is next for Charlie Houston. My name is Tim Allen. I'll talk to you Wednesday night. Stick around. Some Brewer stuff coming up with Tommy here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.